What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another ranking. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. With the release of Rambo Last Blood out in theaters this weekend and the final film in the Rambo franchise, it's time for me to give you guys my ranking of all 5 Rambo movies from worst to best. The Rambo franchise is a very classic franchise for Sylvester Stallone, and I want to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. Let me know your ranking for all the Rambo movies. If you haven't seen Rambo Last Blood yet, then leave the ones you've seen. Keep in mind, this list is completely subjective, and these are just my opinions overall. As a new fan of the Rambo franchise, this is just what I think. If you don't agree with my list, that's fine. Let me know down below. So, without further ado, let's get going. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Rambo First Blood Part 2, the sequel to First Blood. Now, this movie, it's not awful. It's definitely watchable in terms of the action sequences, but for me, this movie felt really bland. I didn't feel the epicness or that intensity like the first one. In this one, it feels like a very straight-to-the-point DVD film. So in this film, Rambo is sent on a mission. He goes back to Vietnam during the war to face off against the soldiers, and he was sent there to pretty much fail, and so he goes and gets revenge on the people that put him there. Sylvester Stallone is great as John Rambo. The action sequences in this movie are pretty cool, some with helicopters all around, some dated effects. But still, Rambo First Blood Part 2, out of all the Rambo movies, this is the one I'm gonna rewatch the least. This is gonna be some spoilers, just warning you guys. Some of the storylines this movie introduces are pretty generic and go nowhere. The script is really bad in this movie. It has a lot of character choices that are like, really? And Rambo has a love story, sort of, in this movie, and unfortunately, she dies in the movie. Just like that, and it goes pretty much nowhere for Rambo. So all around, First Blood Part 2 is not a bad movie, but I'm just not going to rewatch this one a lot. At number 4 is going to be the newest film, Rambo Last Blood. I just saw Rambo Last Blood today, and go check out my review. It's up on my channel right now if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on it. I'm not going to talk about this film too much, but all around, this movie was solid. It was fine. It was a fine ending to the franchise all around. But there was just parts of this movie that felt pretty to me. Like I said in my review, Sylvester Stallone gives definitely the best performance in terms of acting-wise for the character of John Rambo. Like, he gives the best emotional performance he's ever given in the other films, because Rambo all around is a very emotionless character that's very stoic, serious, and cutthroat. The first 2 acts in this movie are almost unwatchable. Like, it felt really bland all around in terms of story-wise, and not enough emotional moments. Final act goes absolutely insane. R-rated Home Alone, intense action sequences, blood, gore, everything you want in a Rambo movie is in the last act of this film. The movie is too short. If it added a little more to the runtime, develop that story all around, and I would have loved the movie more. Maybe on another rewatch, I could forgive it, but still, this movie could have been so much better than what it was. Coming in at number 3 is, what a coincidence, Rambo 3. Now, Rambo 3, I did enjoy Rambo 3. I thought this movie was fun for what it was given. And it was a cool new direction for the character of Rambo, because in the first movie, it was really much about him. And I like it that it says it in the poster. The first one's about him. The second one, he's doing it for his country. And this one, he's doing it for a friend. And that's the colonel who trained him in the previous film. Richard Crenna's Colonel Sam Trotman gets caught by the Soviets. And so John Rambo has to go to the Soviet camp to try to break him out and fight the Soviet Russians. And this movie was a lot of fun. Once the action sequences do go down in Rambo 3, they're definitely a lot of fun to watch. The whole final act is just a huge battle sequence all around, and Rambo fighting off against a bunch of helicopters. There's a lot of helicopter chases in this movie. There are also a lot of human elements, and from the supporting characters all around, I couldn't care about. I care about Rambo. pretty much, that's about it. But still, Rambo 3, in terms of rewatchability, I could definitely watch this one again. The action sequences are intense, a lot of fun, and Stallone gets a new wig. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Rambo 4, or Rambo. It's just called Rambo. It came out in 2008. The first 3 movies really lacked a lot of blood and gore. This was the first one that really had that blood and gore that I wanted. And this movie has some of the most intense action sequences in the entire franchise. Like, freaking hands down. The enemy soldiers throwing children into fires, burning people alive, stomping on their faces to death, beating them up to death. And this is the only Rambo film to be directed by Sylvester Stallone. And Stallone's direction is gritty and great for the franchise. And John Rambo is at the most brutal he has ever been in this entire franchise. It was satisfying to watch, and to see Rambo be really bitter and gruesome in this movie, to just being that insane killer, but just a lot older. And all the Rambo films do a good job of trying to pit John Rambo against society, because he's used to being in the war and he has a lot of PTSD. And in the movies, he's trying to invest himself into society again, but he just can't do it. He's meant to be in war, and that's what he has to deal with his entire life. The ending of this movie, it pits him back into society by going back to his childhood home. But I really like how this one dived in to John Rambo. Can he go back into society, or is he just meant to be a war dog all along? But of course, my favorite Rambo film is First Blood. Like, not even close. Like, First Blood is one of the best action films of the 1980s. Like, this movie I watched for the first time and I freaking loved it. I also did a review for this movie leading up to Rambo Last Blood, and it's out on my channel right now, so go check out my in-depth thoughts if you want to hear it. But First Blood was really great. I love the introduction to the character of John Rambo. He basically walks in to the small town of Washington to try to visit a friend, but he died of cancer, and it's him versus law enforcement, because the police officers in this movie are so mean to him. John Rambo gets called a drifter, and he is out in the woods fighting off against these cops who want him dead or in prison and out of their town. And all the force fight sequences in this movie, they're really well shot. There's this thunder and lightning sequence with Rambo popping out of bushes, stabbing cops to death. Ever since Rocky Balboa, when could Stallone play an iconic character again? And we had one with John Rambo. And Rambo in Balboa, Rocky Balboa, Stallone, this really cemented him as to being a classic action movie star. Cobra, not so much, but this was really a great film for Stallone. Came out in 1982. This was a really good one, and it's my favorite Rambo movie. Okay guys, that was my thoughts and my ranking on all the Rambo movies. So again guys, let me know your list down below in the comment section. Thank you guys as always for watching this ranking. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!